Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the $1 Million Case Study. I'm your host, Greg Mercer. I'm joined by my co-host, Rolando Galliano. What's up, man?
Hey, what's happening, Greg? What's happening, Freedom Builders? So excited to be back.
I am excited to be back as well. This is episode number 15, and we've been on a little bit of a break. We've been waiting for our product to be shipped from China, arrive at the Amazon's warehouse, and to go ahead and get our first few sales. And Rolando, why don't you just talk to us a little bit more about how that process has been so far?
Well, I will say it's been a bit of a headache. First, we were running into some issues with our manufacturers. We worked that out. It wasn't too big of an issue. A couple delays there. Then, of course, we encountered the Chinese New Year, which set us back some more. And on top of that, we had a government shutdown. So if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. But finally, our product is at Amazon's warehouse.
And I think the truth of that, Rolando, is that's just kind of part of business, right? And a lot of like educational material online will paint the Amazon FBA thing as like a get rich quick or it's super easy. And in reality, like you are creating a real business. And with any real business, you're going to run into little bumps in the road as you go, just like we did. But that was part of it. We worked through those and now our products are in at Amazon, right?
That's right. Everything worthwhile comes with a little bit of sacrifice.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the listing. All right, so as you guys can see, our listing is up on Amazon. These are the Jungle Slider keyboard trays. There's two different colors here. We have the black ones right now. We have them priced a little bit lower, selling at $59, as well as the bamboo ones that are a little bit more expensive. And we have those priced at $69. Rolando, why don't you just walk us through a little bit about this listing and how you went about creating it?
Yeah, sure. So one of the main things that I used was Keyword Scout to be able to find the best keywords to put on this listing. In addition to that, I have been able to test the title, test the different bullet points, as well as create a nice keyword-rich description. So these are all a part of the process of going through and making sure that I'm able to rank for certain keywords so that I can appear on page one. Otherwise, no one will ever find our product. Along with that, of course, I deployed a PPC strategy to be able to put us on page one from day one. So that's also been in place. And the sales have definitely come through.
Before we dive into how you got those initial sales, Rolando, talk to us a little bit, I'm looking here at your pictures. Talk to us a little bit more about these pictures, kind of how they were taken, how you chose them.
Yeah, so these are actually just done by one of my fellow coworkers here at Jungle Scout. So Patrick, I got to give you a shout out. You stepped up, helped me out to get these pictures taken. And so, as you can see there, even the model is one of our coworkers. So, just kind of bootstrapped this, did this the old-fashioned way.
And we walked through the tactics of how to take your own photography back in episode 10. So by doing it this way, this was actually no cost to us. And it's, even if you decide not to keep these photos long term, it's a great, inexpensive, because for us it was free, way to go ahead and get some photos up on your listing. And Rolando, what's the plan long term? Are you happy with these photos? Are you thinking about where to get some done by a professional? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, they're great to launch with, but I think that is one area that we can definitely improve on. So I wanted to bring that up to you if you wanted me to go ahead and get that going, get some professional photos done.
Yeah, great question. I think these photos look fine. They would probably be fine long term. But since I do know that the photos do have a huge impact on the conversion rate and ultimately the success of your product, I think it's worth it to us to go ahead and spend a couple $100, find a really high quality photographer off of the Jungle market, send our product to them and ask them to take some professional photos for us.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
All right, Rolando, so I pulled up the sales for this product inside of Fetcher. Right now, I'm looking at the black keyboard tray. It looks like it's now been selling for about 3 weeks. It looks like the first 2 weeks weren't getting many sales. We're only talking 1, 2, maybe 3 a day. And then really in the past week, it started to pick up a lot. I'd say in the past week, we're now averaging closer to 6 or 8 with just the black color. Talk to us a little bit about what process you went through to get those initial sales, and ultimately how have you gotten it to increase in velocity and sell faster now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off with a very conservative tactic. I literally went through and tried to rank organically as best as possible. That's why you have the low numbers in the early days. I was just testing out different keywords, and also when it starts to pick up is a combination of using a PPC strategy as well as our launch strategy with JumpSend, so that I could start discounting products. And I think something that there was a bit of a hiccup, and something that really took that off. I started with a 50% discount on the product, but we got a 1-star review, and I realized that I needed to be a little more aggressive, and so I started offering an 80% discount on the product. And that's when you started to see PPC and the campaigns themselves just really pick up momentum.
So for everyone watching this, what % off coupon would you recommend to them in order to get the sales velocity like you have here?
I think that you could start out with a conservative number, test that out, see how that works out. And if you're seeing that you're just not getting enough participants, definitely then you could really get you could incrementally get more aggressive with the discount. I also tested out coupons directly through Amazon, and those convert very well. Something to keep in mind there, I probably wouldn't go beyond 10% off, or maybe like a certain dollar value, but definitely that's another option that you have available, is just using Amazon coupons. So there was several moving parts to this, and that's why you see that rapid growth. But definitely now, because we are naturally, organically ranking on page 1, I only foresee the sales just to continue to pick up and gain more velocity.
So in order to get those initial sales in, I think you did a combination of 3 things, correct? 1, you distributed deeply discounted coupons on JumpSend, roughly 80% off, in order to get most of those sales. You've been aggressively bidding on PPC terms that are relevant for our particular product. And the last one is you offering an on-site or on-listing coupon for about 10% off. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And PPC is only going to improve with time, right? As we collect more data, then our sales are just going to improve that much more with our PPC campaigns. So that's another beautiful thing that we got going on here.
Great. And then now I'm looking at the bamboo sliding keyboard tray, and it looks like you had a similar first week or two, only about 1 sale a day, I'd say, on average. And this past week, it's really started to take off. This one's averaging about 12 to 14 units per day. So I guess if you add together the bamboo and the black, we're getting close to 20 sales per day, which is pretty darn good. I think our initial goal was only 10 sales per day. So it's doing about twice as well as what we had hoped. This one does seem to be selling a little bit better. Do you think that's because of any of your launch tactics, or do you think this is the essentially the color that the customers prefer more?
Yeah, I think it's more related to the material. I think it stands out. It's got that distinction over anything that's out in the market. And we talked about that early on when we were doing the product research. What's our key differentiator? And one of those, well, let's try this material. Let's try bamboo. Let's see how that plays out. And honestly, it's playing out really well.
Something that I think would be good to make clear to all the audience right now is we haven't made any money to date. In fact, we've actually been losing money to get to this point. And I think what happens is that scares a lot of new Amazon sellers, because they're thinking, hey, this is only the first few weeks of me ever selling a product. Right now, I've only lost money to date. I'm not making any money yet. And that's something that you have to understand, that in order to get those initial sales on Amazon, start to rank better, start to get some reviews, you do have to use some of these tactics that we're talking about that are expensive. But think about it as like a upfront marketing cost. We're in this for the long haul. We plan on selling this product for years and years to come. So we're willing to lose some money up front, for the first month, maybe even the first 2 months, in order to build this listing that we know will get sales long term. So that's a very important thing to remember, that you have to stick with your launch plan to get those initial sales, and don't be concerned about profit to start.
And I'll add to that, it's always scary, right? When you're launching, we actually had someone, and I personally believe that it may have been a competitor that wrote a 1-star rating. There's no way to verify that. However, and that would scare most people, because you would think, how is it that I'm going to get sales now? Well, with our launch, we stuck with our plan and we got a little more aggressive. But at the end of the day, it turned the ship around, and it's definitely now playing out exactly how we want it to.
Yeah, great point. As of today, we have 8 reviews on our listing. And you're right, one of those is a 1-star review. I'm looking at this right here. Anna put a 1-star review. I think I agree with you on this one, Orlando. I would imagine that someone who has been watching the $1 Million Case Study is upset because maybe we're selling a similar product to what they are, and they're essentially trying to retaliate to us for putting on this series. So personally, I think that's unethical to do. Throughout this series, we definitely didn't intend to sell the same product as anyone else, but ultimately that could have potentially happened. And something just seems fishy about this review, right? This person's only left 1 review. It's a 1-star. It's not a verified purchase. We know that our slider mechanisms are higher quality than most people, yet they say it broke. Or the clamp and the slider both broke. It's like, yeah, I don't think that's true.
They're metal. They're not plastic like our competitors.
Yeah, but I think this is actually another good lesson to show everyone that, don't get too discouraged when things like this happen. Like, these things are happening to us too. We got a 1-star review that probably was left from a competitor. There's not a whole lot that you can do about it. I think if they get enough downvotes or enough people report them or whatever else, Amazon might take them off their listing. However, even if Amazon never does, which is what's the most likely scenario, we're just going to continue to sell this. And we know that long term that we have a solid product and that over time, we'll just get more positive reviews that will ultimately kind of drown out that one negative review.
Exactly. And all those reviews that you see there essentially are from our launch strategy and using these strategies that currently still work to this day.
So Orlando, let's talk about what kind of bids you need on your PPC terms in order to get a whole bunch of extra additional sales. What value or what dollar amount did you start your bids at? And then ultimately, what did you have to go up to in order to get a lot of those additional sales?
Well, typically what we want to do obviously is we start with an automatic campaign and a broad campaign to kind of start getting those initial keywords, start discovering those keywords. And we become more aggressive as we cycle those through from our automatic campaign and our broad campaign into a phrase and an exact match campaign. So there we can get very competitive with how much we want to pay for them. Typically, I take what's recommended. I think that Amazon's algorithm initially when you're setting up your campaigns is very good at recommending a price for you to start bidding at. Once you start through a process of optimization, of course, we can start determining, okay, wait, I'm either paying too much for that keyword or I'm not paying enough. So then we could start moving up from there. So typically you're looking at anywhere from some bids might be from 25 cents upwards to $3 per bid.
Great. And then if you search for your main search terms with those bids, do you usually find our product in the #1 spot?
Exactly, yes, because those are the keywords that I want to target, the ones that are also in my listing. So I'm trying to double dip. I'm also trying to rank organically, but I'm also trying to push my campaigns. I want them to appear as well so that I'm showing up on the top of the search and I'm also showing up somewhere on page 1.
Great point. I just searched for clamp-on keyboard tray and I see our sponsored product right here in the first row. It's in the #2 spot. And then if you scroll down the page a little bit, you also see the jungle slider right here. This is about the 4th row or something, but it definitely is on the first page, which means that we're off to a great start considering we're only a few weeks in now.
Yeah, and I think that one way we could totally improve the click-through rate is if by the images. We were talking about that. I think those images probably don't do it enough justice, so that's definitely something that I'll tackle next.
I agree with you. When I look at this whole page of clamp-on keyboard tray results, there's really nothing about ours that really sticks out versus some of these other ones, right? You can't quite tell that it has a better slider mechanism or that it's more heavy duty. So I think if there was some way that we could make it just look a little bit different than our competitors or somehow call that out or at least draw your eye to it, I think we could get a lot more clicks to our listing.
And I want to add to that doing Amazon coupons is one way to draw someone's attention. Right now, the coupon has expired. That's why it's not showing. I did test the coupon, and they put a nice green banner on your image, so immediately it stands out from all the others. So that's something to consider in your launch strategies. Definitely utilize Amazon's coupons.
Rolando, I'm now inside of Splitly. We haven't talked about Splitly too much this season yet, but Splitly is an optimization tool, and one of the benefits of it is it can track your rank for different keywords. So Rolando loaded in all of our main keywords for this product, and it's actually been tracking ever since he did that where we rank for different terms. So for example, the term bamboo keyboard tray, the past week we've actually been ranking in the #1 to #3 spot. And I can go through here and I can keep an eye on how our keyword rank is changing over time. Rolando, thanks a lot for the updates on these different areas of our product and our launch. So far, I feel really good about this, especially after seeing our sales in the past week. In future episodes, we're gonna give you guys more insight into our sales and into our listing. We're also gonna talk a little bit more about listing optimization, setting up your enhanced brand content, as well as more advanced PPC tactics. And then of course, we'll close off this season with letting you guys know about some of the lessons that we've learned throughout this season and tips we want to leave with you guys.
Awesome. I'm excited about what's to come. There's lots of lessons learned throughout this season, and so I look forward to that episode. I look forward to talking more about PPC as well as listing optimization. So excited for what's to come.
Absolutely, I am too. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I've enjoyed it. And Rolando, I'll see you next time. Adios.
Keep crushing it, Freedom Builders.